1. Introduction to truck glut. Right now, there are pickup trucks sitting on dealer lots that would take the better part of a year to sell at the current pace, even with GMC slashing $27,500 off one of them. Today, we're counting down 12 trucks that dealers can't give away, backed by real inventory data, and the worst one ties straight back to a brand that's currently bragging about a sales comeback. 2. Honda Ridgeline slump. Number 12. Honda Ridgeline. We're starting with the one nobody saw coming, because for years the Ridgeline was just fine, reliable, boring, sold steadily. Not anymore. Honda's own sales data shows Ridgeline deliveries dropped more than 30% in the first quarter of 2026 compared to a year earlier. And March alone saw sales fall from 4,831 units down to 3,379. Here's what that number actually means for you. Honda is reportedly so unbothered by the slowdown that it's planning to pause Ridgeline production entirely for roughly 18 months starting this fall at its Lincoln, Alabama plant, according to Automotive News reporting, with output not resuming until summer 2028 on a revised model carrying an updated V6. In the meantime, that same factory will simply build more Pilot and Passport SUVs, which tells you exactly where Honda thinks the actual demand is right now. Owners on Ridgeline forums are already telling each other to wait it out, with one commenter predicting dealers will negotiate the hell out of leftover 2026 models once that shutdown is confirmed. When the manufacturer itself is planning around your truck not selling, that's not a slow quarter. That's a company quietly admitting defeat. 3. Nissan Titan discontinuation. Number 11. Nissan Titan. Nissan already answered the question of whether anyone wants this truck. They stopped making it. Production ended in the summer of 2024 at the Canton, Mississippi plant, and there's number 2025 or 2026 Titan. What's left on lots is whatever 2024 inventory hasn't sold yet. And depending on the dealer, that could be a handful of trucks or none at all. To be transparent about the data here, because the Titan is fully discontinued, it's fallen below the volume threshold that services like Courage track for monthly inventory snapshots. So, there's no current market day supply number to cite. What we do know from industry sales analysis is that in its final years, Music Nissan was getting outsold by Ford's F-150 by something like 20-1. That's not a truck people forgot about. That's a truck people never wanted in the first place. And Nissan finally agreed. Nissan is legally required to keep supplying parts for at least Music 10 years, so service isn't the immediate worry. Resale value is once a truck stops being built. Scarcity can prop up used prices for a while, but shrinking dealer support and a shrinking ownership base tend to catch up eventually. If a leftover Titan is sitting on a lot near you, that's the question worth asking before the discount. Not how much off, but how much will this be worth in 5 years with 0 new ones being made. 4. Ford Heavy Duty Backlog. Number 10. Ford F-150 Super Duty. This is where things get more concrete because we're back inside CARG's actual track data. The F-150 Super Duty is sitting at 158 days of market day supply, with 40,633 units currently on dealer lots and only 11,576 sold in the trailing 45-day window at an average selling price of $73,547. Translate that: dealers ordered heavy-duty trucks assuming contractors and fleet buyers would keep absorbing them at the pace they did a few years ago. They didn't. At $73,000 Music average transaction price, you're now looking at a segment where the buyer pool shrank faster than the order books did. And that gap is sitting on the lot in front of you for months deep and growing. Higher financing costs hit work trucks especially hard, since most of these are bought on commercial credit lines rather than straight cash, and tighter lending has slowed exactly the kind of fleet replacement cycles that used to keep Super Duty inventory lean. 5. Cooling Ford Maverick demand. Number 9. Ford Maverick. The Maverick is the one that stings the most because 3 years ago this truck had actual wait lists. Ford built a cheap, efficient hybrid compact pickup, and buyers lined up. Now, Car Edge data puts the Maverick at 162 days of market day supply, with 4,356 units on lot against just 11,948 sold in 45 days, averaging $33,930 a copy. What changed between then and now is simple. Ford expanded production to meet that early demand. The hybrid hype cooled off and competitors caught up on small truck efficiency. Owner forums that used to be full of people complaining about 18-month wait times are now full of people negotiating thousands off sticker on the same trucks that were once allocation only. That's not a market correction. That's a manufacturer that built for a moment that already passed. Music number 8. Ram 2500. 6. Ram 2500 inventory issues. Stellantis brands start stacking up here, and they're going to keep stacking up for the rest of this list. The Ram 2500 is sitting at 192 days of market day supply per Garage Pro with 32,561 units on lots and only 7,646 selling in the last 45 days at an average price of $68,554. That's more than 6 months of inventory on a heavy-duty work truck, which is exactly the segment that's supposed to move on relationship sales to repeat fleet and trade buyers. When those buyers slow down, there's no consumer hype cycle to fall back on. The 2500 isn't a truck people impulse buy. It's a truck people need, and right now, fewer of them need one badly enough to clear this backlog. Ram-focused owner communities have noted the same pattern showing up at the dealership level. Sales staff pushing financing incentives on 2500s harder than on the 1500 lineup, which usually signals where the actual pressure to move metal is concentrated. 7. Chevrolet Silverado EV slump. Number 7. Chevrolet Silverado EV. GM's full-size electric pickup is in genuine freefall. Car Edge has it at 199 days of market day supply with only 1897 units music on lot in a mere 429 sold in 45 days, averaging $74,864. Industry reporting on Q1 2026 truck sales, specifically music, called out the Silverado EV and the Hummer EV for posting a huge slump, while noting that GM's other electric pickup, the GMC Sierra EV, was actually still growing. That last part matters. This isn't EVs don't sell. It's that this specific truck at this specific price point with this specific badge isn't landing. GM is letting two electric trucks built on the same basic platform have wildly different fates, and the Silverado version is the one getting quietly walked back. For buyers cross-shopping the two, that gap in demand is exactly why you should expect the Silverado EV to come with far more room to negotiate than its GMC twin, even though the underlying hardware is nearly identical. 8. Ram 3500 market saturation. Number 6. Ram 3500. Back to Stellantis, the Ram 3500 sits at 200 days of market day supply with 12,021 units on lot and just 272 sold in the last 45 days at an average price of $77,020. That's the heaviest duty pickup Ram makes. Built for the buyers who tow the most and need music the most. And even that specialized segment isn't immune. Here's the plain language stakes for anyone shopping this truck. At this sales pace, current 3500 inventory will take more than 6.5 months to clear, if not a single new unit gets built or shipped in the meantime. Dealers know this math. They've known it for months. That's leverage you can use today. No negotiating class required. And because the 3500 shares most of its drivetrain and chassis architecture with the 2500, dealers carrying both are effectively sitting on two overlapping inventory problems at once. Which is part of why heavy-duty Ram deals have been getting noticeably more aggressive in dealer ads this spring. 9. GMC Sierra EV price cuts. Number 5. GMC Sierra EV. Now, we get to the truck music that justifies the title of this video. GM didn't quietly discount the Sierra EV. It took an axe to the price. The 2026 Elevation trim dropped from a starting price of $92,290 music down to $64,495. A cut of $27,500, music more than $15,000 beyond what's promised in this video's title. Lease payments fell from $949 a month to $559. On top of that, GM is offering $2.90 April financing music plus a $3,000 purchase allowance just to move the outgoing 2025 trucks. And it's still not enough. Car Edge data shows the Sierra EV sitting at 225 days of market day supply with 2,611 units on lot against only 520 to sold in 45 days at an average price of $81,439. This is the clearest data point in the entire list. You can cut a third of the sticker price off an electric pickup music, and it will still take 7.5 months to sell through current stock. That's not a pricing problem anymore. That's a demand problem. Number 4. Hyundai Santa Cruz. 10. Hyundai Santa Cruz status. The Santa Cruz earns its spot here in two ways. First, the numbers. 229 days of market day supply. 9,641 music units on lot. Just 1890 to sold in 45 music days, averaging $36,439. Second, the timing. Hyundai already confirmed the Santa Cruz is being discontinued, which means every unit currently sitting on a lot is a truck the manufacturer has already given up on building more of. For buyers, that's a strange middle ground. You're not quite buying a Nissan Titan situation where there's nothing left to choose from. You're buying the last run of a vehicle that Hyundai itself decided wasn't worth continuing. At nearly 8 months of unsold inventory sitting behind it, owner forms for the Santa Cruz have largely shifted from debating trim packages to debating resale value once parts support eventually thins out. The Santa Cruz was always a slightly different bet than a traditional pickup anyway. Built on a car platform, marketed more toward lifestyle buyers than work truck buyers. And that positioning never built the kind of loyal base that keeps a model alive through a rough sales stretch. Number 3. Jeep Gladiator. 11. Jeep Gladiator contradictions. The Gladiator is where the data gets genuinely contradictory, and it's worth sitting with that for a second. Courage has the Gladiator at 233 days of market day supply. 21,173 units on lot, only 90 sold in 45 days, averaging $48,732. That's nearly 8 months of backlog on a single nameplate. But Stellantis' own sales reporting credits the Gladiator as one of the models contributing to Jeep's overall sales gains in recent quarters. Both of those things are true at once. Jeep can post growth as a brand, while one specific truck inside that brand sits on lots longer than almost anything else in this video. That's the kind of contradiction dealers don't advertise, because the brand is up sounds a lot better than this specific truck isn't moving. Part of the problem is price creep. A Gladiator with the off-road packages buyers actually want regularly clears $50,000, putting it uncomfortably close to full-size 1/2 ton in territory without the towing or bed capacity to match. 12. Ford F-150 Lightning decline. Number 2. Ford F-150 Lightning. The single highest market day supply number in CarEdge's entire truck data set belongs to the Lightning, 250 days. There are 3,931 units sitting on lots nationwide, music with only 707 selling in the last 45-day window at an average price of $67,631. The backstory here matters as much as the number. Industry reporting tied to the end of the federal EV tax credit pinned roughly $20 billion in losses to Ford specifically, and the Lightning was one of the most visible casualties. Courage's own analysis confirms Ford is replacing the fully electric F-150 with a different electrified option for the next model year, which means every Lightning currently on a lot is functionally a discontinued product sitting at 8+ months of unsold inventory, with the manufacturer already looking past it. If you're in the market for one specifically because of the price drops, just know you'd be buying into a dead-end version of the truck. Great if you only care about today's deal. Riskier if you're thinking about resale or long-term software support down the line. 13. Ram 1500 and market reality. Number 1. The Ram 1500 and the Stellantis glute nobody's talking about. We saved this one for last because the Ram 1500 isn't just another slow seller. It's the truck that exposes what's actually happening across this entire list. Start with the raw numbers from Courage Pro. 162 days of market day supply. 70,156 units currently sitting on dealer lots. By far the largest physical pile of unsold trucks of anything we've covered today, with 19,469 selling in the last 45 days at an average price of $60.56. Now, here's the part that shouldn't be possible according to normal market logic. Ram brand sales actually surged in early 2026. Stellantis reported Ram pickup sales up roughly 27% year-over-year in the first quarter, with the Ram 1500 specifically hitting 59,828 units sold. Its best opening quarter since 2023. Most of that bump traces back to one decision: Music bringing the 5.7L Hemi V8 back after Stellantis controversially pulled it from the 2025 lineup. That backlash was real enough that Ram reportedly logged close to 10,000 Hemi-powered orders within 24 hours of announcing its return. So sales are genuinely improving, and there are still over 70,000 Ram 1500s sitting unsold on lots right now. Both facts are true simultaneously, and the reason is the years that came before this rebound. Rum's market share collapsed from 15.9% down to roughly 9.3% between 2022 and 2024, driven by the Hemi removal, rising prices, and the loss of the budget-friendly Ram 1500 Classic. Stellantis kept building trucks through that entire slide. And that overproduction is the inventory you're seeing sit on lots today. A backlog years in the making that one good sales quarter can't clear on its own. Stellantis executives have publicly called 2026 a pivotal year and set a goal of growing retail sales volume by 25%. But a sales target measures what rolls off the lot going forward. It says nothing about what's already sitting there. And the Ram 1500 isn't carrying that backlog alone. Look back across this list. The Ram 2500, the Ram 3500, and the Jeep Gladiator are all sitting in triple-digit market day supply right alongside it. CarEdge's own research flagged that Stellantis brands occupied 4 of the 10 slowest-selling truck spots tracked nationally in March 2026. That's not for unrelated trucks having a bad month. That's one company's production strategy showing up for separate times in the same data set. For a buyer, here's what that actually means. It doesn't matter that Ram is telling dealers, investors, and music reporters that the turnaround is real, because the turnaround is about sales velocity, not about the 70. 0 trucks already sitting on lots from before the turnaround started. Every one of those trucks still needs a buyer, Hemi or not. And the math says it'll take over 5 months to clear current stock, even with demand improving. If you're shopping a half-ton in Ram right now, you're not negotiating against a company that's struggling to sell trucks. You're negotiating against a company that built too many of them and is still catching up. That's 12 trucks, 3 different manufacturers worth of overproduction, and one company, Stellantis, accounting for nearly a third of the list. None of this means these are bad trucks. Most of them are perfectly capable machines that do exactly what a truck is supposed to do. It means dealers and the manufacturers behind them ordered for a market that didn't show up on schedule, and now they're stuck holding inventory that's aging by the week while interest payments and storage costs music quietly stack up on their end of the deal. That math works in your favor as a buyer, but only if you know which trucks it applies to. The dealer across the table isn't going to volunteer that a Ram 1500 has 70,000 units of company-wide backlog, or that GM already cut $27,000 off a Sierra EV trying to get it moving. Music that's exactly the kind of number that should be steering your opening offer, not theirs. If you want the deeper version of the story, every brand, every segment ranked music the same way. We already broke it down, and these 12 trucks are rotting on dealer lots and nobody is coming. Watch that one before you walk into a dealership thinking you have no leverage. Because on most of the trucks in this video, you have more leverage than the salesperson wants you to know about.